Vegas, Miller Emily Gullikson here. It is day one. Players in the country in the NHC. We're coming up to a mandatory race here, Emily. It's race number 9 at Tampa Bay Downs. Leo Vukmanovich is with us, Emily. He's going to be focused in, I'm sure, Leo, a little bit on this race, right? Because you got a massive long shot in this spot, don't you?
Yeah. And Jim, it's a pleasure to be with you and Emily today. And I'm a big fan of what Emily does and what you guys do for the people that play tournaments. You guys really get it, and you know what you're doing. And you know, it's great to be here. And there's a mandatory here coming up, and I took a shot with a cap horse. That's I like a little angle with blinkers off. This horse has a 0 buyer, and look at him.
Got away good.
Can only go up from 0.
Look at him.
But this is what you want to see.
Yeah, he got to the lead here, right? So this is amazing. 64-1, right? He's on the lead here. What did he go up?
72-1. But here's the cool thing about it. All right, this is day 1 of the NHC.
Right.
This is a mandatory race. So when we get into the stretch, if this horse is still there, you're going to hear this room get really loud.
Oh,
there's 500 plus
without
players.
a doubt. How about if somebody's got the 10? He's 99.
Oh my God.
Or the 327-1. Well, let's see if this horse can kind of just gear it down here a little bit.
You might be able to ease back, but this is the kind of race too where you can do that a little bit.
Yeah.
You have the 10 horse blowing things a little bit there, going out wide.
Well,
okay. That's
getting eased up. I mean,
that's
but
going to
it's
benefit you.
No, without a doubt. This horse is getting a really nice trip here.
yeah, absolutely. This is all you can wish for. No.
Yeah, I mean, I like my chances here. Can I bet? Can I bet some more?
Hey, you just got a 24-second second.
You're gonna hurt your price.
Yeah.
But it's going to get loud.
But getting back to
Everybody's
why I chose this horse, this is just one of the angles that I have in my toolbox for 50 years of betting. Here comes the even money favorite. I look like I might toss it up here, but
That's okay, because now you're rooting. Now you root for the 8. Root for the chalk. Now you got to root for the chalk, and then it's a wash. No one's playing this horse at even money, so the even money shot is a win.
I got a little for my money here.
We
That's
got
a 5-2 shot. Yeah, this is exactly what you want.
Absolutely.
Right.
You
played out perfectly. For
You played this race perfectly. You're like you can't play an even money shot. Even a 5-2 in a mandatory does you nothing.
No,
so you take your shot. You had speed.
Here's what happens
Forget
if
it.
you play those horses, right? And then a cap horse comes in, or you just basically lost pretty much all chances, right? That's
On
what
a mandatory
early
race.
days,
Yeah, mandatory for sure.
everybody. You know, there's 700 people. There's probably 200 people, you know, in the room that are gonna be $64 ahead of you.
Yeah. You got to protect.
So, And
I mean,
to get in the top 10%, right? You need that's 70 people, right? So
this is not when you have the 5-2 running first and the even money second. It's like you didn't even get a good place price.
Right.
And I wouldn't be. It's like you're not even going to be afraid of somebody who's playing a 5-2 or an even money in there. Right. You're like, oh, I'm worried about the people that are swinging for bombs.
Exactly.
So,
So you have to have some kind of strategy coming in, and that's kind of like what I did. Is I've been here. This is my 4th time here.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan about like coming here, and this is a different time for me because usually when I come here, I'm working my regular job. I'm not a professional player. I'm a weekend warrior. But this is the first time where I've gotten to the point where I'm at retirement age, so I'm not working right now. So I'm really enjoying myself. I'm not looking at 120 emails right now.
Right.
Or having people call me or text me about, you know, what's they need my help or they need my services. So this is a little bit different. So I had a really good time with the people at our table. I'm sitting with people that I sat with last year.
Okay.
And we had a great time yesterday. I think some of the guys that I was with, they had a real good time.
There's some people at this table that had a good time last night, and it wasn't this one.
So they're kind of slow getting back today. So
Sure.
hopefully we'll
That's
get
part
it
of it.
tomorrow. But that's all part of the fun. That's all part of being here.
Well, no, you say that you're not a professional player, but I've seen you many times on the Santa Anita pre-race show doing analysis, and you've been here 4 times, but you're no stranger to the tournament world because you've played in many out at Santa Anita live money.
Yeah, I like live money tournaments, and the ones that I like the most are like the $500 or the $1,000, $1,500. like those types. Those are like I've won several of those, and I use a strategy pretty much like what you've talked about. Is really what you've talked about with some of the people that you've had on, and like your spaces that you've had on recently. I've attended all those, and one of the things that's important, if I look back, and I've been betting for, seriously betting since I was in my teens, and I've gambled. I've used my disposable income basically my whole life gambling, and I've done it. I think I've done a really good. I mean, I have a comfortable living, and I have I have different things happening in my life. I have grandchildren, and so I have a lot of fun in my life. But what I've been able to do, one of the things that you always want to do, is you always want to have continuous improvement in anything that you do.
Absolutely.
Right? As much as I know, I'm always looking to improve what I'm doing, and that's one of the things that you guys do, is that when you have all these different people on, is I'm learning. I'm always learning, and I'm learning constantly. And the guests that you've lined up, there's always a takeaway. There's always something that you can learn and put in your toolbox and come and take away and leverage that, and move on from there. So that's what I do. But the strategies that I use though is try to get to try to figure out what my winning number is and try to find the shortest way there. So what I love to do is just push all in on a horse, and then sometimes find maybe it's only two horses that I have to bet to get to that number that I think I need to be to, and I've had some success with that, and that I think is the best way. What's hard for people to do is to do that. They want. I've sat next to people, or I see people where they'll pick 5 winners in a day, and they're maybe in the top 10 because they're not
right.
They're not maximizing.
It's churn. It's churn.
Yeah, they're trying to chip away.
But you learn. But you go in and you see, okay, you can see who the people are that you have to worry about. But there's a lot of good players out there that kind of are learning as they go. And a lot of people like to play with doing this with exactas or doubles or trifectas and that sort of thing like that.
So like if we're looking at the last race, the last mandatory race, so there's like a 5-2, right? In this tournament, it's not going to. Is it coming on the outside? What were the odds on the one? Good number?
18-1. Yeah.
18-1. Ooh.
Not too much. Not too many people were yelling.
I was going to say you scanned the room trying to hear if anybody's
there's maybe some
But
quiet.
I think what a lot of people did is like Aqueduct. They see the short. Maybe they stay away from that. They focus on. They focus on.
And coming right out of a mandatory race, you tend to wonder how many really were even on that race.
That's a good point too. Yeah, just as far as trying to, I think there's so much. Do you find that there's so much value in trying to be contrarian and picking your spots?
Without a doubt, and like for me, I know a lot of people. I think you had AJ on. He was talking about where people don't play Golden Gate, people don't play Santa Anita, people don't play Laurel, and like tomorrow, those are going to be the tracks. The Santa Anita card kind of came up flat, but I found some horses. I think there's one
Laurel's
up here.
got a stakes card tomorrow, right?
Are you going to be in this next? You're in this next race at Santa Anita, right?
Yeah,
they just crossed the line.
Yeah, no. I think the Santa Anita third race they went, but the fourth race.
Yeah, so they're 20 minutes to the third right now.
Third. Yeah, I don't think I have anything in the third. I have something in the fourth race.
So for this tournament, like if you're saying in the live money that you have that number and you're taking the shortest path to get to it, in this tournament, do you still kind of take that same tactic? Are you like, this is the number that it's going to take? How am I going to get there?
So what I do is I have like in my bag of tricks. Okay. I have certain angles or certain things that I look for, and then I go through I go through all the tracks and I look for those angles. Like blinkers off has been really good right now, right? Like I don't know, I'm just saying, like, and then I like horses that have one out, right? And I like certain trainers, and you could find those. You could find those in there. I mean, if you look at some of the, some of the races that are coming up, like what's the next mandatory that's coming up?
Next mandatory is the 8th at Aqueduct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the 8th at Aqueduct, I think I took a price for it.
Okay. So let me ask you, when you're going through here, and you're saying you talk about being a weekend warrior,
But at the same time, you've been doing this for such a long time. You talked about getting involved when you were a teenager. So the resources when you started were probably a little bit different from the resources you have now, between social media, different handicapping outlets, online resources and that. Do you have a certain strategy or a certain go-to when you were handicapping? Did you start out as a form player and then kind of expand? Or kind of how do you look at races?
When I started out using a racing form, but in my late teens, like one of the big things in the West Coast was like the handicappers report.
Yeah.
That was something that was like people that had that. We used to go to someone's house that had it, and they had it in a notebook, and then we'd go through that. And then there was a lot of, back then they didn't have like trainer changes. They didn't have like LASIK changes and things like that. So we had access to a lot of guys that got that worked on the backside that got that information. Yeah. And were able to get that. And so that was kind of some of the big stuff, like getting access to that information that people had, and that was something that I was fortunate to be able to get access to, and just being around people that were kind of in the know. Yeah. And just, I have this term that I use in business today. It's like being business nosy. It was like I was always kind of like not so much being nosy, but I was always like having my ears open at the racetrack and listening. And then you always try to just be around people that were smart and knew what they were doing. And you had to really be careful because
I was just about to say you probably have to handicap the information because you got to know who's got the loose lips and doesn't have the good info.
Back then there was so many touts. I was just telling somebody where there was guys that were touts and they were, back then they had, the guys would be a tout. There was touts that would like give you a horse and then turn around and give you they give everybody like five different horses, and then if you won, then they would hang with you all day, right? And try to get money from you, but. There was, those opportunities. Those opportunities. That's what you would do. And then there was guys back then that had access to like tapes, like they would do recordings and tapes and stuff. Back in the '70s. So there was always looking for an edge. Right. That was the key thing. And
it still is. Huh? But it still is. That's the whole game, right? It's trying to find your edge. Yeah.
Today it's much different. I worked for a large consulting company, and then I retired because they made an offer I couldn't refuse. And then I'd go to the track, and I would sit in an area like there was like if there was 8 horses in a race, people would come by, and I'd get like 5 different horses, right? Yeah. So what I focus on today is I don't listen to anybody. I like to sit like away from everybody. I don't want to process. I don't want to listen. I don't want to process anything anyone says. If I do, I kind of almost fade them, right? So, but.
It's like that line, like, consider the source, right? You're hearing the information, like, consider the source. Yeah,
but even sometimes when you get the source, like I've owned horses, and I have a trainer that's a close friend for 40 years, and like I don't even ask him, because if I ask him, I know. Right. But sometimes I ask, and when I ask, this is what I ask: can I go to the large transaction window? That's what I ask.
That's all you need to know. Exactly. Perfectly put.
Right. Those are the things I ask. Can I go to the large transaction window? But even then, if you ask, I think sometimes, they're so superstitious, and then you put them on the spot, and then I don't want to ruin that friendship that I have, right? And then they respect you more when you don't ask, and then if you know them well and you know how hard they work, you kind of get a feel for what they're doing. So, that you just take it as you go. And what's really, what's incredible, what's a struggle right now is how much I love this game and what's happening today, and I care so much. And just the things that are. I mean, I had 2 weeks. I had such an incredible bad luck of I had there was 2 DQs at Santa Anita, and one that cost me a significant amount of money. And they had 2 photos at Los Al that cost, it was a lot of money for 2 weeks. And what I do is I learn how to recover. That's one of the biggest things.
Absolutely.
I think I'm so good at just turning the page and moving, and finding something that's gonna Like, and it's something like I learned from my mom. Like,
It's a good.
she
It's
taught
such
me,
a
again,
good characteristic.
She did pass.
Absolutely.
She passed away 30 years ago, but she would always tell me, like, something bad happens, just look for something good, you know. And that's what I do. That's what I do today. So I take all these things, and it's like stuff you learn and that you know, like I was really successful in what I did, and I learned, you know, going back to that kind of business nosy thing. I was a tech person, but I was fortunate. I worked for the biggest consulting company in the world, and because I was trusted, like what these guys are doing today. Right. I was in leadership meetings for the biggest company in the world, and I don't know what they're doing, but I listened to what they were saying, and I learned so much from being in there, and I was able to take that. So I apply those same things to horse racing, right? And I apply those to my friendships, and I apply those to what I do every day. And then, like I was going back to, like, just keep trying to learn. And so like when you do the spaces, I really enjoy them right now.
Well,
or like,
you know,
and if you don't have one, it's like, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm going to DM you, hey, what happened this week?
You should, because then that'll motivate me to be like, don't skip a week, because people are looking, you know, and it's actually coming from the same place, because I love this game so much, and it's like, a lot of the content, a lot of stuff that I'm doing is like geared to get people excited about the game, you know, and getting the energy up, and like, I mean, this, I think, is the greatest game.
No, it's not even close. I mean, like I've done sports betting. I haven't bet sports in, I had a bad beat the last time I had sports, and I said, that's it, I'm done. But I think, you know, I think there's, like, it's not even close, you know, because what I tell, like I was in the paddock at Santa Anita about a month ago, and one of the guys that were there, he was like crying because he's like, you know, cause he did bad beats and everything else, and it was just like, hey, you're one bet away from like everything turning around, and then that day he hit a pick 3, he made a nice score, and then it's like, you know, see that. If you beat yourself to death and you keep saying, you're never going to win.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be able to turn the page, and you have to really focus, because it'll interfere with you with trying to do the best you can to put yourself in the position to win. And that's what I always do every day. I put myself in the best position to win. And if I lose, like I go figure out, okay, where can I find it? And then people say, how do you play that track? It's like, I know how to find something.
Right.
Yeah.
I know how to go to that track and find something that that has value. And even with the computer bettors, there's something that you could find that has value that I could extract money from and make a good score.
Yeah, and that's the beauty. It's the beauty of this contest. It's a lot of different tracks, a lot of different contestants in that. So Leo, we want to wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Yeah,
it's awesome. This is day 1. We got a couple more days.
Yeah. Today, even if you don't, I think even if you don't have, I've seen people in this tournament where even if you don't do good today, and especially what they've done, where they've added more races on for tomorrow, is that you could come out of the box tomorrow and just really. Matter of fact, I'm going to stop and get some forms.
I was going to say, I'm not sure what the.
Already, and you could.
It looks like
you could do. You could have. I mean, tomorrow, and you could do really.
There's
well.
only 2. I can't see exactly what those numbers are, but I see like the top 2 are the only 2 numbers that are in triple digits.
There's no big numbers. Everybody's going to be.
So
in the
it's
mix,
like that's one calf horse. You're like in 20th.
Yep.
You know, and like even if we look at yesterday's scores, those scores would be crushing today. So in one day, everything can get there. Right. And yes, tomorrow you got more races. Right? Races, like you said, you're one away.
Yeah.
Well, Leo, best of luck this weekend. Yeah. Good luck. Hopefully, we're seeing you at the final table on Sunday.
That would be awesome. But if I'm not, I'll be plugging away next weekend.
Well, good.
And thank you for the compliment on
that. Us too. It was a pleasure.
And the space.
It's a pleasure to finally meet
you. You got it.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And you too as well.
Thank you. And feel free to keep me to task.
Ever
send a DM and say, come on.
All right.
Leo, here. Don't forget this.
Good
luck the rest of the weekend there. and hopefully we're seeing you make a climb up the leaderboard.
All right.
All right,
Thanks.
Leo
Thank you.
Vukmanovich able to join us there on day one of the National Horseplayers Championship, and I'll tell you, it's one of those things where we've seen a few prices come in, but we've seen a lot of times here where it's been a favorite running 1-2, and nobody's really making that big move. As Emily said, you have a couple of people in triple digits. Aside from that, things are very competitive. It only takes a couple of horses. If you get a couple of massive horses there that are kind of your max numbers, maybe that'll change the complexion.
Thank
But
you.
everybody
I appreciate
seems to
it.
be
Thank
kind
you so
of
much.
easing things in a little
got
bit.
something for
The
you.
optionals are not being used a ton. The mandatories haven't had those big payouts, so we will see how things unfold for that, but we're going to welcome our next guest coming in here.
Good.
All right, Paul.
Hey,
Day
stran-
one.
Hey, stranger.
You and
see you
Emily
again.
are familiar with one another.
Yes.
You and I are not. So
Correct.
I get to ask you the first question.
Okay.
How's things going so far on day one for you?
I'd give my performance like a C minus.
Okay.
So pretty mediocre. So
And is it because just the way optionals have played out, or do you feel it's something that you've done strategy-wise that you may want to pivot on?
I've only hit one optional, and I missed like 4 optionals in a row.
Wait, what do you mean like you missed? Like you were going to play them and you missed?
No, I
Played them
missed-
and they just didn't run in?
They didn't run in. They
Okay.
didn't run the exacta. But I also had a horse that I thought the odds were not going to be there. You know, there's so many tracks going on, and I wrote them down to use them. But I wrote a note that I'm probably not going to get the odds on this horse.
Sure.
But I ended up getting the 7-2 on him, and he didn't win. He ran second, but he got DQ'd at the first.
Oh.
So you get
Yep.
those 12 or 13 points. You know,
Yep.
maybe you get the 7 win in the $5 place and the $4 place.
Sure.
And just take it and move on. You know?
Right,
That's
right.
what, you know, because it's a cumulative thing. You want to just keep building and building and building. You know, at least that's what I'm trying to do.
Right, so you're sitting at day one of the tournament, 16 races that you're playing, so 10
Right.
optional, 6 mandatory.
It's
It seems
hard
like-
too. It's a
yeah.
lot of races.
Some of the mandatories, there haven't been big prices, so I think that's probably the reason you haven't seen a ton of separation so far. How many optionals do you have left going for the remainder of the day today?
I think I have 4.
Okay.
I have 4 or 5. I think.
Okay, so there's still time to make some movement here.
Yeah. I can.
So when Jim was talking about like pivoting, so at this point in the day when you have those optionals left, do you kind of change as far as like the certain prices, or do you have like an overall, this is just what I need to get to and I'm willing to still pick with?
I'm not looking for a number today. Basically, my track is Oaklawn, so but my numbers, my whatever, my strategy doesn't seem like it works on off tracks there. I don't know why. It just doesn't. But I'm not going to change.
Sure.
These are my horses, and I'm playing them.
Yep.
You know, if I go down with the ship, I'm going down with the ship because that's the track I follow the most.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've already used. I didn't like this next race. I thought it was kind of tough. This is the kind of race where you get a bomb in here.
Yep.
It's a 10 or 15 claimer or whatever. But like the next couple of races, I got horses that I've been following, and I'm going
Right.
to play them. But like I said, for some reason, I do much better when it's fast there. I don't, so.
I felt like the off tracks this year at Oaklawn Park, we've had, even if it's like muddy, I've seen like 20 different muddies. Like it's playing so different on the muddy. Some days,
it's different.
and even today, somebody said that earlier. I'm like,
Yeah.
we've had muddy tracks, but I won't know in the first couple
Right.
races if it's going to be the inside good,
Yeah.
speed is good, the outside good, coming from off the pace. It's been so tough from that perspective.
I'm not an expert on biases and all that stuff. I just know, because you can see it the next day or the next time the horse runs, you see the high variance.
Yep.
A lot of people don't use that for handicapping. I look at that because I want to know how slow that track was playing.
Right.
And it means something. And
Yeah.
that's why I like the daily racing form too, because it's the only one that has the variant. They'll tell me. But I mean, you'll see you'll see those 30 variants and 40 variants on these muddy tracks, and then some of the sloppy ones will be if they pressed it down, it'll be 10 or 12.
Yep.
It just
Yep.
depends. So yeah, I was just the same thing happened last year. It was an off track on Friday. I didn't do very good, and then the next day it turned fast, and I did really well.
So
I'm hoping it turns fast tomorrow, but I don't. No guarantee.
So that's good then, because a day like today, because they pulled a couple of races out on day one, there's a little bit more action on day 2.
True.
So that's something that could be beneficial to you,
Right.
then, having those 12 optionals tomorrow too.
True, but some of the horses I was planning on
Yeah.
playing, I knew they were going to be good odds.
Okay.
Today, so I was,
Right,
I
so
was
those
kind
are
of
the ones
bummed.
you're hoping
I was kind
to
of
hit on.
bummed. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed because I got the odds on the ones I want to play. Horse I liked a lot in the last race went off 9-1.
Okay.
Opened up as the favorite.
Right.
I think this horse was live as can be. You just don't.
Right, that's
So
what
is
you're,
it-
that's
I'll
what
be,
you're sitting
I'll be,
on.
I'll be hammering that horse next time
Yeah.
he runs.
Yep.
It's a fast track.
Right.
So,
And
so-
you're
Was
right.
that first time starter?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that horse
Oaklawn,
is
you're right, because
extremely
Oaklawn
wide.
is a little quirky because they're a track that they can't use chemicals when they have the freezes in the winter. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of freeze and thaws, and you're right, it is varying
And it-
types of muddy.
Yeah.
And the way they maintain it, and then, I mean, short stretch races, different things along those lines. So it is interesting. So we'll see how things play out. But talking about the atmosphere today as they're getting ready to take off at Oaklawn, you have 500 plus players there. You've had a couple little bit of people getting excited, but for the most part,
Yeah.
it's been a little bit of a subdued day a little bit.
You would think like the 18-1 shot, they just want
Right.
to race and act like people would be screaming and hollering. You know, no matter what it is, somebody has it.
Oh yeah, no, that's when
Yeah.
the scores jumped up to the
Yeah,
triple.
somebody's got it, yeah.
Some people had it, but Jim kind of made a point that it was like it's kind of
It was
right
like
after
4
that
minutes after the
optional,
mandatory.
so it might have just kind of snuck away, smaller field.
Yeah.
Do you think like, because you had some success in this tournament, being you've won it, so does that come into pressure, or do you not? How does that work?
I feel like I felt like a little pressure this morning. My flight was delayed by 6 hours. I didn't get here. I didn't go to bed like 2:30 in the morning. You know, and it just, you know, and I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I've been like wired all morning, and you know, but you know, I still have a chance. If I can get away with a couple of winners, you know, I'll be, you know, I'll be in the middle of the pack. You
Right.
know, so.
And so that helps having that experience of seeing what it takes to get all the way to the
Yeah,
top.
you don't. I always say it's like I'm not sitting there. I'm not going to play a 20-1 shot every race because that's what the max number. That's not what I'm doing.
Right.
If I don't think you can win, I'm not playing you.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So I don't. You know, even if you know, horses that I don't think can win all the time. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be playing them though.
Right.
You know, so.
And we'll see what happens. It's a cavalry charge here in the
Yeah.
stretch at Oaklawn.
Yeah,
You had two
the
horses
three
kind of
is the
ding-dong in
favorite,
there.
but
yeah, the
it's-
three's done. The 3 went out there and got
No, the
challenged.
3 is in the pink hat.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. But a couple horses come. Oh, the 3's in between there. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
the
and that's
7
what it
on the
is. You get a
inside.
race like this, and the favorite's kind of battling, chugging along. You're going to have another inquiry.
This
That's
is
the thing.
Carl Broberg's horse, the 7.
That one.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's interesting too, though. When you're sitting in a contest like this and you get some prices, and we've had already multiple objections, multiple inquiries throughout the course of the day, that's got to be a little bit excruciating as a player when you're sitting on a horse, especially at a price too.
Yeah, it's both times I've been here. This is my third appearance, and both times I've been here, I've been on the good side of weird things going on. Like the very first year I was here, it was during COVID, so it was Saratoga and Del Mar. And that race where that horse tried to bite the other horse, I had the one. He was going to lose, and he bit him, and my horse wins by a nose because he tried to bite him. You know, just weird stuff like that. Horses DQ from third to second. I've been on the good end and stuff like that. And, you know, you got to have a little bit of luck.
I think it does. It does take that. And we're, you know, one of the conversations we were saying earlier, I think it was Scott's year when he had like a 4-horse field, you know, in like the final table and things that there is so much kind of that component of luck and timing and what can put you there.
But you know, when you have 700 entries, you know, a 7-2, a 4-1, you're going to jump multiple people. You know, and if you string a couple of those together, you wouldn't believe how many spots you'll jump. And like last year, the people that I was sitting with, you know, I don't watch the scoreboard, and they're always telling me where I was. I was like, I didn't even know I even won. I didn't know there was a prize for winning Friday or Saturday because I won Saturday last year. I didn't even know that because I wasn't looking at I knew I was doing good, but I didn't care about the scoreboard because I know I'm trying to hit the number to hit the top 10%. That's the thing. That's what you want to go for.
That's what people have been talking about. A lot of people have mentioned, I want to get to the cut line.
You want to just
and
get
that's
there.
kind of the first concern.
Right.
Get to the cut line and then see what happens after that.
So that's what you want to do.
So
first goal is that.
So when you were on day 2 and you made the cut line, you didn't just make it, but what position were you in?
I can't remember if I caught the guy. I can't remember if I caught him by Saturday or not. I can't remember because he had a really good score. The guy that won the first day was still leading the whole way.
Right, and he won both entries, right?
And
I'm trying to remember. He had 2 entries, right?
I think he had 2 too.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I caught him or not, but I had a great day. It wasn't, and I didn't have any bombs. I had these 8 and 10 to 1s.
Sure.
And I had multiple ones,
Right.
you know, and those things jump you up the board like crazy. And I had, like I said, I had a bunch of them. And you know, I was just, you know, I was hitting all my optionals and stuff. And like I said, I don't know what it is when the track at Oaklawn is off. I just cannot get on it right.
Sure.
It just messes me up. So, but yeah, but it's the one I follow. I feel like I'm better on dirt.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend most of my optional plays. I had that 10 last race at Gulfstream,
Yep.
and I didn't pull the trigger on them. I was telling my buddies I was sitting with, I noticed some really odd odds movement
Yep.
on the board. I'm watching this going, how does the horse go from 10 to 1, 7 to 1 to 3 to 1, and he goes off at 5 to 1. I'm thinking, wait a minute, somebody, this is less
That's a lot of movement, yeah.
than 5 minutes to go.
Right.
And I'm telling my friend, are you watching the odds on this horse? So maybe want to play him just because of that. And of course,
Yeah.
pops right out of the gate,
Yep.
wire to wire.
Yeah, and at a track with large pools too, so
Yeah.
it's going to take significant money to get some
I knew he
movement.
was live. I didn't know if he was going to win. I'm not going to say, I knew he was going to win, but I knew he was live.
Right.
This horse was live, and but I'm always hesitant on turf because it's not really my thing. Because I never can figure out like the pace of it very well. So. I watch some of these races where they run these really crazy halves and stuff, and I'm like, it's not my thing.
Run-ups, rail settings, so many things that just,
like at Oaklawn, when the track's fast and it's
Yep.
not in January or February, they're going to run 21 and change first quarter. They're going to run 45.
Yep.
I know
Yep.
what it's going to
Yes.
run.
Yep.
These other tracks, you don't know that they're going to do that, especially and then on the Tapeta at Gulfstream.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying I'm not good at that.
right, it's not your focus, exactly. So you had success here.
Yes.
Are you sitting with everybody that you were sitting with when you had your success? It's at the
No.
same table.
No.
No.
One of my friends, he didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah, so he tried to get in yesterday. He didn't make it, and then one of the other guys I was sitting with, I sat with him the first time
Okay.
I was there.
Yep.
So we got together this time, and then the other guy I'm sitting with, he sat with me at the Hawthorne Invitational. It's really kind of it's interesting
Yeah.
how you just we all just kind of got I was like, I know you. Yeah, we sat next to the Hawthorne Invitational.
So at least you're not superstitious to that point
No.
that it's, I have to be with the same people or in the
No,
same.
but people are like that though.
Oh,
They're
there's a
like,
lot.
for sure.
Well, that's why I asked.
Especially people that talk a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? I usually don't talk a lot. And so it just depends if you're always yabbering and stuff.
I mean, being at a good table, there's a lot to being at a good table. That like you mentioned, if there's people that talk a lot or somebody is yelling all the time or spilling
Right.
drinks or whatever,
there's. I'm not going to be giving out the guy next to me my best 15 and 1 shot on the day.
Right.
Because I'm trying to beat that guy.
Yeah.
So and they know that. Everybody knows that.
Well,
so.
and they're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not giving this guy,
Yeah.
this
I mean,
horse
I'll
that
tell
I've
them who I got when the race is getting ready to go.
Sure.
But,
Well, and you look here, Santa Anita, 3 to 5 is going to win in this
Yeah.
spot. So
Yeah.
it's one of those
So-
where nobody's making any type of big move
What
there
do
by
you-
any means.
What are your thoughts? Like, how do you approach the mandatory races? Do you have an idea in mind? Like let's say the last one, right? The last race where you have like 2 horses that are short and there's a bunch of horses that are
I
priced.
took one of the short ones.
What's kind of your thought process on that?
I already had him picked the day before. I'm not changing my mind. It's
Okay.
like I already had this horse picked. I'm not changing it. So if I lose, I lose. But what the odds are. I can't control that. I mean, it was a Chad Brown, so I know it's not going to be big. But there was a Clement horse in there, and there's multiple good trainers
Right,
and
right.
horses in that race. So I thought
Right.
I might sneak off at 7-2 or 4 to
Sure,
1. That's what I was
sure.
hoping for.
Right.
And I got 5-2. So.
But hey, if that's the horse that you end on and that's the horse that you're the most comfortable with, then it makes
When
complete
I looked at the race, you can make a case for multiple horses, but this was the one I like. This one, I looked up, I went through his pedigree. I saw, I looked at the damp side. What kind of turf
and you
influences
said
they
it's
have.
a Chad Brown horse, so it's going to have
it's gonna
pedigree.
Right, it's going to have pedigree. It was a Spacetown is kind of it's both, but so I really kind of ignored the Spacetown part. I just went to what's on the bottom.
Sure.
What's on the
Sure.
bottom, and the bottom had. I don't want to say it'd be wrong, but it's probably Dane Hill and stuff like that. That's what I want,
Yep.
So Dane Hill dance or something. That's the stuff that I want. So
Well, Paul, we want to wish you the best of luck this weekend.
No, thank
You've
you very
had
much.
success here. We hope you have success again. I like your strategy. Just go with what works for you, the track that works for you. So if we see a fast Oaklawn track tomorrow, we're hopefully going to see you slowly creeping up the board there. Then.
It's not supposed to rain the next couple days, right?
It's supposed to clear up,
Yeah,
but,
it's supposed to be
but
nice.
it still looks pretty bad though. Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Always,
So
yeah.
the first time and the only time I've ever been to Hawthorne, Hawthorne was when I was like when I was in my 30s, it was like one of my favorite tracks to play, and because I like dirt, you know, and it rained in the winter. It was always on the dirt, but I won a maiden special weight as an owner there. The first time that I went there, you know, I mean, it was so exciting. You know, I mean, it's hard to win. You know what I mean? And I was there to see it in person. I had my Hawthorne hat that I bought that day, and I ruined that hat. I wore it so much.
Funny you said that. We'll get you another one right now.
I ruined it, but I wore it forever. And it was a young female rider apprentice that rode my filly. The filly was Malibu Moon. I can't remember the name of the jockey. She didn't last for very long. But I can still picture, you know, how, you know, her face is she's all smiles, you know, and stuff, and you know, and it was really
Who was
neat
your
thing.
trainer?
Oh
Man, I'm putting you on the spot now.
Can you guess who the jockey was? Do you remember?
The jockey.
Red hair girl, blue eyes.
It was probably it was either Zoe Cadman,
Zoe.
Liz Morris, Kelly Sampson, or Inez Carlson. Would be my guess.
I can't remember.
How long ago?
She didn't last
she
long
said
ago.
she said she didn't ride for very long.
How long ago was it?
I could look up the name of the horse was Malibu Moon. So whenever she ran, so
I'm gonna find it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're gonna do some research.
Yeah,
When we
we'll
come
find
back
it.
on at 4 o'clock, we're gonna know.
Yeah, but I mean, she was so
That's
happy that she
amazing.
won. So it was like one of those races like in November,
Yep,
you know,
yep.
one of those type of deals.
End of the year.
It was awesome. So yeah,
Very cool.
but it was so I have great memories of that, and
It's a really long stretch at Hawthorne too.
yeah, that's why I like it too.
Yep. This is a mandatory here. So after this race, then we'll cut you loose. But let's sit here and watch this one. Who'd you play in the
I
mandatory?
don't got 4, I know that. I think I got 3.
Okay. Well, you're
I
in a
got
good spot right now.
Eric Consell, whoever one he's
Okay.
on.
And the thing is, the mandatories have been so interesting for me. This is my first time out here, and it's so
You're
quiet
on the
until you
three.
get to the last
Eric Cancell's on
16th of a mile, and then everybody starts kind of getting a little bit more excited.
I thought 4 was the best horse here. I really did. I just, you know, but I know there's no one in this room is going to have this 4. You know what I mean? So,
Right. And if they are, they're not making any money off it.
right. Yeah, they're not going to separate.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's not going to be anything. Oh darn, I don't have that horse.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, you can catch up.
Come on, Eric. Get going right here.
Well, you keep churning.
He's trying, but he's
Yeah.
not. He's kind of spinning his wheels.
Yeah.
But you know what? You could churn up for second, too.
Yeah.
No, looks like
Wide trips there are a little bit tough in the winter time, but you're kind of spring now, so we'll see. Nobody else is coming behind you. If you can even get up for second.
yeah. I mean, the horse on the rail might make
Yeah.
a run, but
Come on, Eric. No, on the wrong lead.
Yeah.
On the wrong lead. Come on, 4, win it.
Well, that's right.
now
Exactly.
I want the 4.
Looks like
That's
the
where you
one-
want
the
1,
one's
4,
gonna
4,
grind
1.
it.
Right.
and then the chalk up
Yeah.
beat, so it'll be a good place price too.
I gotta admit, this race is, you know, easy to say after the fact, but I didn't like this race at all.
Well, and that
I didn't like it at
when
all.
you're stuck with the mandatory, that's
I would have
what
never
you have to
used
do.
this race, you know,
Right.
while I was playing. So.
All right. Well, Paul,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, Paul,
thanks
thank
for
you
having
guys.
me.
Thanks for
appreciate
joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Hopefully, we're seeing you up there on the final table.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in Chicago or
yeah,
Texas.
You will for
absolutely.
sure.
Yes, I
You'll see
will.
us at Hawthorne for sure.
Oh, we got it.
Another mandatory is down there. That was Aqueduct race number 8. We got 2 more mandatories to go. People are playing their optionals. A little bit of movement that's been
I was
going
thinking
on
the
so
same.
far, but not a ton of it. As you're looking at the top of the leaderboard, only a couple of people that are sitting there in the 3 digits so far, over $100. Everybody else kind of churning, kind of in the middle thus far. So we'll see how things unfold as we get to the remainder of the day. A good friend of ours, Kyle Roscoe, is coming in to join us. How are you?
What's up, man? How you
What
doing?
brings you out here? Just you have a hat that says Sharks. Come on, man.
I mean, you know why I
I
have
know
that hat
exactly
on.
why you have that hat on.
I couldn't. Nothing. We're, you know, the whole group. Howard Kravitz, Matt Miller, all the guys. We're all out here, and I basically become mandatory guy.
Okay.
Make sure everyone gets in their damn mandatories. But
Well, I heard you rooting on that race. So was that a personal play, or do you know that? Or are you
So-
rooting for them? Because you guys, you're cheering the 1, so I know you have the 1.
yeah, I did have the 1.
Okay.
Matt Miller, who's playing obviously in the contest, and I've kind of been lockstep with him the whole time, like picks wise.
Yep.
So I'm just rooting for him.
That's
Like I said,
good.
Just rooting for all the
He
gold.
knows
No
his
kidding.
stuff.
I've just been rooting for the guys the whole time, and yeah, we finally got one home. So
Okay.
hopefully everything starts flipping around because we need some good luck coming here. I believe we're on the 8 or the Gulfstream race, the 8 at Gulfstream. So at 4-1.
And
here.
that's your.
So you can, and that's the thing. I mean, all right, $10, $12 horses bring you $20 back if you're winning those races, and we haven't seen anybody really separate from the pack so far. Kyle, it's been interesting. Everybody that we're seeming to talk to is just saying, "Hey, I want to get to that cut line." That's kind of the focus so far. A guy like Matt, I mean, the way he plays, he takes those shots, but he takes it with confidence. I can definitely see him there, but yeah, Paul Halloran out here.
Yep.
Howard Kravitz is out here. These are guys that they do this week in and week out. It's so much time. You talk about the sheet that everybody puts out and all the effort. I don't think people realize that, okay, they see you guys when you're going on air to do your broadcast, but it's hours upon hours of work behind the scenes too.
Oh, man. I mean, like I said, I never really got into it because once, obviously with the podcast, I ended up getting my own show. I've actually just got this
I love that you guys
today.
have gear.
I know. I actually just got this yesterday, so it's fully brand new. But beginning my podcast and now kind of been almost over a year now doing it. Oh yeah, I mean, you look at it and it's just, you're sitting on the screen, you're talking horses like we all love to do, but then, all the preparation and making sure that all the tech goes smoothly. I mean, I'll give a little jab, a little bit easier for me than it is the older guys that try to do it.
On the tech end, for sure.
Well, yeah, the boss himself, he has a few tech questions every now and again, but it's a ton of, like, what is there to do better? You're just sitting there with your friends talking about horses. This is exactly what I hoped would happen too. This exact.
All right, so you said the 8 horse here, right? So sitting on the lead right now at Gulfstream Park, so that's not a bad place to be. The thing I love about your guys' show and about the podcast is, okay, you have guys that are veterans, well established in the sport. I love the fact that there's like a youth movement too, because that's the one thing that we talk about in racing is kind of trying to cultivate players, get new players in there. So it's something I think they've done a great job, but it's different insight in that too. It is really kind of a cool thing, and let's get this 8 to keep running here.
I know, we need to finish up. Gulfstream Speedway on the Tapeta.
It usually is. It's going to run 1-2, so it's definitely
going to be. It's going to be tight. It's going to. No, it looks like the 9 on the outside.
Second, so it'll be some place
All right.
But again, still, guys were talking too that even with this many players and 700 entries and that kind of stuff, $10-11 jumps a lot of people at times.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the thing is that you look at the cut line every time. They take top 75 or whatever. You look between 75 and like probably 110th, and it's like $3 that separates it completely. So any placement, like, obviously winning is the best thing. I mean, especially when you're playing like these middling, like 7-2, 4-1 prices. You're looking at like $4 whatever to place. So it's not the biggest thing, but in the grand scheme of things, you get that horse placing second rather than probably still running 5 minutes later. It makes a big difference, and it definitely could, especially coming down the stretch. No pun intended.
Well, you talk about the cut line too. I mean, there's money.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's decent money when you're looking at $800,000 top prize, and I mean. And Emily, you talk to different people saying, "Hey, go for that prize and that kind of stuff," which is very cool.
Because I mean, how many opportunities do you have that you're like, this is 800,000.
Yeah, right.
It's few and far between, right? And like it is good money to make the cut line, but those opportunities are more plentiful, right? So it's like.
And it's like, there's a lot of people that are in this tournament. This is why this tournament is as big and so like. Thought of as it is now is because you have players from all different denominations of money coming in. You have these guys that qualify in Horseplayers that these $75 tournaments, even like the feeders, get $13, $30 tournaments that then get to the big and now get into the NHC
or grind on points.
Correct, right, exactly. And it's versus you guys that have, like the BCBC, for example. You have guys that go in for $10,000 and they have that type of money to kind of spend like that and go after it. There's all like whole different types of ranges of people, which, some people for getting that cut line, that $10,000 means a lot to them.
100%.
But I mean, you're right. How many opportunities do you have to get $800,000? And I mean, the money means a lot, and then you get the Eclipse Award and all that type of stuff too. It's pride, and it's all that type of stuff. That horse went 21-1.
I know,
it's insane. So when we talked, because when you came on the Spaces, you're going to come out and try to play Last Chance. You're close at Hawthorne. You had the plan, just didn't execute, but it was the right plan to win. Some setbacks, gate delay getting out here. But you played last year.
Yes, I did play last year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's your kind of like your experience from playing in the past?
Well, and I'll tell you what, the one thing that's helped me a ton is for this type of NHC, all of the plays come out early, right? So you have the mandatories for anyone that's like aspiring to do this type of stuff. And,
Yeah.
Whether you didn't qualify, stuff went wrong, whatever it is. The biggest thing that you can do is the practice. Like, you look at these mandatories, you see what these people are doing, and you see the races, play along with it. Go along with these mandatories. My thing that helped me over the last, as Jim kind of mentioned on, obviously I'm a little younger, as you could probably tell. I've just gotten into this tournament space really these last 2 years. I used to work at Arlington, and I've been going to Hawthorne, for 7 years now at this point. But the thing is that I've, especially like live money contests, but the NHC is even easier because it's a $2 win place mythical. And really, you don't even have to play. Like, you have these 6 mandatories that you have to play. You pick 10 races throughout the entire day. You play. My niche in these types of tournaments has been somewhere between that 4-1 and 9-1. Not necessarily going for absolute home runs, but you're still getting enough price to where, if you're warranted place money, you still get a little bit back for, and 9-1s, you're getting that, $6-7, which is a big help. $4 is obviously a little bit less, but still in the long scheme of things, like we talked about, it's just practice. And for me, obviously, going through college and being on the college budget, these $10,000 tournaments were not on the cards. So whether you do it actually in these tournaments or you're just there, practicing, you could do it. Let's like the BCBC, for example. You have $10,000. You can you go to $100. Like, you can scale it down, and you can play a whole day of trying to see, how much you X that bankroll. Because I'm a big poker guy, so I think about a lot of stuff like big blinds, where you have $10,000, but you think about it big blinds wise, that $100 can still be the same amount of big
Correct.
blinds.
Yeah.
So you just play it at just a smaller denomination than what you would at the $10,000. So people that are watching these, these live streams, and obviously our show as well, is I try to tell people, just because you're not a big player doesn't mean you can't, do these types of stuff that these people are doing. And maybe you have to save up a little bit and play a Hawthorne tournament, which obviously they've been great because not only are they wide open,
and we have so many that are free.
Correct.
We have always plus EV, and
the weekend tournaments I saw you post about, they're fantastic. I'm going to be a part of them, even though I don't live in the Chicago area anymore. You'll see my face around a lot.
It's worth it to come out. But I want to touch on what you said as far as practice, because it is so key, and I'm thinking about it even from like my own personal journey. When I first started playing, that's what I did. I was playing. There was a website called Edge Pro Sheets. I don't know. Do you remember?
I think that might have been a little bit. I've heard the name, but a little bit before.
I feel like I mentioned it to somebody, and they're like, I've never even heard of it. But they'd have games all the time, and I'd play everything, and I was just playing, mostly losing, but eventually just the practice and going over and over and over, and even going back in as far as handicapping. When I first started, I was handicapping races that had already run, but I'm handicapping them and then look at the results. How did I do? What did I do? Okay, going back and forth. This is practice.
That's exactly it. And it's like, and the thing is, like, you don't have to bet. Like, you don't have to bet to actually, like you said, you look at races after the fact. And you say, if you haven't looked at them before and you look, and you come up with your top 3, then you can go back and see, how you did based on that. You're not risking anything to do that. And, we talked about smaller denominations and stuff. There's just so many different ways that it's very daunting. Like, especially like you're in a room with 750 people, and it's a little bit daunting. But you can do this anytime from the comfort of your own home. Across races, you can pick 5 races to do that you have to play in optionals. And you can kind of just practice in all these different ways without having to spend, all these different tournament buy-ins and try and, get your spot in a 750 person, honestly, a 750 person lottery to try and then get into the top 75 to then win basically another lottery, not a smaller one, but another lottery to get into that final table. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but like practice, and live money too. Live money tournaments like the Hawthorne tournaments are. It's the same way. You know, you start with a $200 bankroll, and I talked about it on the Hawthorne Spaces. Is I set myself a dollar amount, and I try to get, you know, whether it's 8x, 10x, 15x of the bankroll, and you try to work your way there. You plan around. You're like, okay, I want to get from $100 to $1,000. I want to get 10x bankroll. How am I going to do that? And you know, you pick out certain horses that are your best opinions on the day, and you can look around. Obviously, my favorite bet's the double, so I look, you know, what doubles can I play around this horse? And, you know, maybe you do two $50 doubles, and that gets to 300 or 400. And I'm like, okay, great. Where can I take that? You know, there's just many, many different options that you can do, and it's fantastic.
Why do you think, like, I feel like, as you mentioned that live money example, we talked to live money players, pretty much everybody has that same thing.
Yep.
Maybe they have different goals, different paths, whatever.
Right.
But why do you think that in this tournament, people don't have that same mindset? Why do you think that is? Like, I don't understand, because I feel like it's the exact same thing, right? Like, it's like, oh, I just got to get this horse. I just got to kind of grind. I just got to get to this cutoff, instead of like, you know what it's going to take to win it. You know it's 8x, you know it's 10x, you know it's 12x. It's like these tournaments, you can look back at the scores and say, I know what it is with that cutoff.
Like first day after you want to be top 100, you know, it's like $75 or something like that. Yeah, it's the same type of thing. Obviously, it's a little bit more spread out in these types of tournaments because you have certain places that you have to play,
right?
And you have to pick other horses, you know, in your optionals.
But it should still be part of that problem, right? Is you're thinking like, okay, if I'm playing this mandatory race and this horse, I don't want to swing for the fences. I think this 3-1. It's 3-1, but I like it. That 3-1 has to be part of the how you're going to get to that 10x.
Exactly, that
or
grand
10x.
plan. And we're talking about how you're sitting there. You're thinking like, okay, I'm going to play 4-1, 5-1, 6-1s. We're going to go through these races. My biggest thing is I've been trying to find big favorites in races, and I look to see, you know, is this beatable? Because no matter what, if you're at if like the next horse at Santa Anita right now is 4-5, granted there's a 2-1, but then everyone else, that's great value.
If you can beat those two,
if you can get those two out,
exactly, and then no matter where, you're getting great value.
Yeah.
And especially at places like Oaklawn or fairgrounds where you have these really large fields, the biggest thing that I've been trying to go for is these big fields where, because you bet these short fields at Santa Anita and you get horses that are 6-1, 7-1, they might be a little bit below the crop and they might actually be warranted at that 8-1 price.
Right.
But you get horses at like in a 12-horse field at Oaklawn where they're 8-1. They might be a good horse, and they might have the running lines that pair up well. But the problem is that you have so many betting choices to go through. The money has to spread out somewhere. Right. So you have a 5-2, a 5-1, a 4-1, and this 8-1, who's fourth choice, might still be running comparable numbers if you're a figures person. But they might just be a cut below the last two races they ran or something like that. You know, it's just there's a lot more leeway in these larger fields.
Right, and when things are just that close, that's where you're going to get that one that maybe should be 9-2, 5-1 that sits there and all of a sudden it becomes 8 or 10-1.
Correct, and that's you look at that and that horse wins. I mean, not only is that like $10 extra in your win pool, that's you take all the place money as well, and it becomes a whole larger thing. So I completely agree.
All right, so we talk about the podcast and you talk about the youth movement. Now we're gonna go a little bit away from the youth movement with a co-host here. I gotta find out when he comes and sits down.
Yes,
come on, Paul. Paul. In my world, Paul should only wear one shirt, and it should be only one shirt of one horse. And this was not the horse I was expecting. Paul, of course, with the hat. It's good to see you, my friend.
Jim,
too.
how are you?
How are you?
Hi, Paul.
Paul Halloran's joining us. All right. Paul, you and I have done work on the HHH podcast time and again. Just you have so much knowledge and history in horse racing and the story of Cody's Wish and everything along those lines. I see a Catholic boy shirt on you, so let's bring the significance. I have to know the story.
So it involves the Breeders' Cup. The year that it was at Del Mar the first time. We were going out, and my dad had gotten pretty sick right before the Breeders' Cup. And I was kind of, in between. In fact, I said to him the night before I was supposed to fly to San Diego, which was Halloween. I said, I don't think I'm going to go. He was in a medical facility. And he said, oh, what are you, crazy? No, go. And he was not a gambler. I don't know where I got the gene. He said, take $100 of my money and bet it for me. So we fly out to San Diego on Wednesday, and of course, you know how it goes. I get the call Thursday morning, he's not going to make it. And now I'm
instant regret.
3,000 miles away. And so that's Thursday. And he passes away that night, and I said, what do I do? And they were like, well, there's nothing for you to do now.
Right, you're out there, right.
So the next day, I'm looking for a horse to play for him.
Yeah.
And in the juvenile turf is Catholic Boy. And I said, well, he was a really good Catholic boy, so play the 100, runs a good fourth. So I follow him, and I just can't, how I zigged, he zagged. Played him, didn't win. Played him, didn't win. One day, accidentally left him out of the pick 4 at Belmont. He wins, it costs you a pick 4. I'm like,
right. What are you doing to me, Dad?
So now we go to Saratoga for Travis. And I said, okay.
This is it.
This is not working the way. So the Travis was a pretty emotional, not to mention the 8-1 or whatever he was. That was emotional too. But so the next day I kind of went on a mission. I said, one of the guys I was with, Jeff Mora, Doc, I said, I got to go meet that horse. What are you talking about? You gotta meet
right.
I said, I have to go meet Catholic Boy.
Sure.
And actually, that was the year before I started working for the special.
Okay.
So I didn't have media. I had nothing. I was just, and Jonathan Thomas doesn't have a regular barn there, so it's trying to, I'm over by the harness track, and Doc is like, the winner of the Travis is not going to be over there.
Yeah.
So anyway, we find him. I get pictures with him. And I went to work that Monday. I do PR in my real job, and I went to our graphics person. And I said, you got to design a logo for a horse today.
Okay.
She said, I kind of have a lot to do. I said, no. Nothing's more important than this. So she designed this.
Okay.
I tracked Bob LaPenta down through his son. And he put me on to his wife, Laurie Winters. And a few weeks before the Breeders' Cup that year, myself and Bob Mullins drove down to Bob's house in Connecticut and delivered shirts and hats.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So you're racing for you then. I mean, you talk about your other job.
Yeah.
Right. But Saratoga Special, how does this come about then for you? Where's your involvement then get into racing?
So I covered racing at Suffolk Downs, dearly departed Suffolk Downs. I obviously have been going to Saratoga for a long time, and I think it was in 2018, I literally walked in off the street to the office on East Avenue, right? And, a lot of my clips were old clips from Suffolk Downs. So I walked in with the old-fashioned hard copy clips and met, I think all 3 of them were in the office at that time, Joe and Tom and Sean. And I basically said, I write, I cover racing. Someday I hope to be up here for the whole meet, but until then, when I'm up here, if you need any help, whatever. And over that winter, they sent me a couple of stories for the website, This is Horse Racing. And then the following summer, 19, I started with the special, and now I don't go, we all go to Saratoga to have fun, but when I go to Saratoga now, I call it my 4-Star Dave office. We have a big table for 6 in the 4-Star Dave, and 5 of us are carousing, and one of us is...
I was going to say, so you're fired away working.
Yeah, I go at it pretty hard, but I love it. It's really a labor of love, and those guys have been great, and it's because of those guys, through a circumstance, I got onto the Cody's Wish.
Well, and all right, talk about Cody's Wish. I mean, just the story of Cody Dorman, the family, the way this horse has progressed. I mean, you were along for the ride basically the entire way.
Almost. I on Travers Day in 2022, as you know, there's about 300 stakes races on the card that day. Yeah. So, we get a text from Tom Law in the morning, and, you're covering this race, you're covering this race. Yep. So I get the 4 go. I said, that's going to be easy. Jackie's Warriors, 1-9.
Right.
I had covered Jackie's Warrior winning the Saratoga Special as a 2-year-old, and whatever he won as a 3-year-old, might have been the Vanderbilt. Yep. I said, geez, I can write this one.
Yeah, it's a breeze, right.
And it literally, a grade 1 in Saratoga, you don't get too many 1-9s.
Right.
So the race goes off, and this horse comes flying down the stretch, and I'm talking to Sean Clancy, And he said, we publish on Saturdays and Wednesdays now.
Sure.
So I had a few days. He said, there's a real story behind this horse. And honestly, at that point, I was not aware of the story, like most of the racing world.
Right.
So I got connected to Mary Bourne at Godolphin, who's the woman who named the horse, by the way.
Okay.
And she connected me to Kelly Dorman, and we spent, I think it was that Monday, I was back home. We spent about an hour on the phone. He gave me the whole story. I have an adult daughter with autism, so I said, maybe it's resonating with me a little more.
All right.
And
just making sure this isn't a mandatory for you.
It's not.
Okay, good.
So he gave me the story, and I wrote it. Got lucky, won an honorable mention eclipse for the story. Then Cody won the big sport of turfdom, and the horse won the Vox Populi, and Tom said, "Well, you want to write a column about that?" So I talked to them again, and over the holidays that year, 22, I just said, I've always thought about writing a book. What better? And I reached out to the parents, and at this point, I talked to the father twice.
Right.
I said, "It's going to require a little bit of a leap of faith here."
Yeah.
I said, I'm really confident in my ability to tell the story, but I've never written a book and whatever. And so we talked about it, and they said, yeah, we're in. So starting in January of 23, we started doing weekly Zoom meetings on Sunday nights, and got the story. And after the Breeders' Cup, there was a question of whether he would come back for a 5-year-old campaign.
Right.
So once they determined he was coming back, the story wasn't going to end in the 22 Breeders' Cup, one way or another.
Sure.
So it gave me a chance in 23 to really be there with them.
Right.
I was at Churchill on Derby Day when he won the Churchill Downs. I was at the Met Mile with Kelly, the dad. I was with them at Saratoga for the Whitney.
Right.
I was going to go to Aqueduct for the race there, but it got rained out, and I couldn't go the next day. And of course, I was with them for the Breeders' Cup.
Yep.
So kind of gave me another year's worth of material, which is probably why it's not done yet. But I am plodding along like a good solid 20 claimer, trying to grind it out.
About a horse that was far from a 20 claimer, but it's an amazing story.
Yeah, it really is, and of course we all know the way it ended, and as sad as it was, there's something, whatever.
Right.
The parents are absolutely convinced that, Cody's work was done after that Breeders' Cup race. So thank God the stewards at Santa Anita did the right thing.
So what's your story of getting here this year to the NHC?
Well, that involves Cody's wish again. It all comes back to Cody's wish. So I had done, Emily, all those Zooms with the Dormans, and I said, well, I got to meet these people in person at some point. I'm writing a book about them. So I said, well, if I have to go to Kentucky, I'm going to go. I had never been to Keeneland.
Okay.
So I went to Kentucky on a Wednesday. I think it was the 12th, and covered a lot of ground. I was lucky on the way in. I fly through Cincinnati. I fly to Cincinnati from Boston. I drive down. I was able to talk to Cody's neurologist at Cincinnati Children's on the way in. Then once I got to Kentucky, talked to the key Godolphin people, Mary Bourne, who did name the horse, Danny Mulvihill, who first brought the horse out of the barn, Michael Banahan and Dan Pride, the top two Godolphin guys. So I actually did do some work.
Yeah, sure.
But I kind of left Saturday open, because to go to Keeneland for the day. And I picked up our good friend Howard in the morning, and he said, "Are you playing the Grade 1 Gamble today?" I said, "Well, I had thought of it, but I really, I really hadn't thought of it seriously."
Right.
So at 11:45, I entered, and I won.
I was going to say it paid off.
It was just one of those days, and there was no real creative opinions. The highest paying horse I had was 5-2.
Okay.
But it was, it was one win bet. It was all daily doubles and a win bet.
Okay.
And, obviously the doubles get bigger.
Yep.
And you have the target, how much you want to get to at the end of the day.
Right.
And I was in a position to make a really stupid amount bet at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I bet a $10,000 double.
Oh my gosh.
With In Italian into Tarati.
Yeah.
And actually had another like 4,500 to screw around with other doubles. So anyway, it came with a BC berth and this berth.
Okay.
So this is the end of my scholarship period. I have to.
Is this your first NHC?
It is. It's kind of ironic, Jim. I've tried to qualify, I'd say several to many times over the years. And that just, that was like value added, I mean, the BC was real value added because of the $10,000 entry fee.
Right.
And that worked out okay. That I didn't, I was like 37th, but finished with 21,000.
So you doubled? You doubled?
Yeah, doubled it.
Yeah. On a free roll.
On a free roll.
Yeah.
And if that rat Dr. Scheibel had got off his rear end and run second in the sprint, I wouldn't have won, but I would have come home with six figures. He wasn't close. But, I mean, I knew Elite Power was just, and what I probably should have done is everything I had left, just put on Elite Power and take home.
Right, whatever you
Always easy after.
It's always
It's always easy. Oh, I would have done it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So so it's it kind of all started with that trip to Kentucky, which turned out to be one of 4 last year. I went back for the Derby. I said for them with the Derby, and I went back for. What else did I go back for? Oh, I went back for Cody's Wake and Funeral. And then on December 18th, which would have been Cody's 18th birthday, there was kind of a little celebration at Godolphin, and I kind of surprised them. I just kind of showed up out of the blue, and they had about 50 people over to Godolphin, and
that's nice.
they brought the horse out, and so I'm a part-time resident from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
That's okay. All right, so first NHC. How's the experience been so far?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, I've been to Vegas. I haven't been since the pandemic.
Okay.
But this is my 30th trip overall.
Okay.
So,
changes
there's
every
nothing
time.
better than a room full of horse players yelling at TVs. And this is that on steroids, right?
Yeah.
So it's been great. I got a winner and a second. Nothing to shout about yet, but here with good friends like Kyle and Matt and Howard and Drew and Brad and all the Chicago Mafia. They're all here, Jim. All your Mafia guys from Chicago.
Do you come in with the same plan like you did at the Grade 1 Gamble? What's your kind of plan for this?
No, just because, Emily, it's such a different format. So the grade. Well, I guess you could look at.
Not comparing the two, just in terms of.
But you could look at this as getting a target number.
Yeah.
But there's just. There's so many more variables. Like the one winner I had was 8-1 morning line.
Yep.
Then he was 6-1, and then he was 4-1. You've heard this story before, right? And I was kidding with Jim Goodman came over just to say hello, and hadn't seen him all day. And I watched the race with him. I said, Jim, you got to
be back every race.
So it's difficult for me, and I think probably a lot of people because. The instinct, you always want to pick a winner, right? But here, it absolutely involves price, especially in the optional races. We talked about this last night when Howard and I went on the show, his podcast. In the mandatories, hey, everyone's got to play the race. So if the 9 to 5 is definitely going to win, you can play them. But on those optionals, it's hard to take a low price. And you see what. You look at Marshall sitting there with $161 on the board, which is like
it's a good day one score. And he's got a $40 gap to second. I mean, that's a good. That's another big separation right there. Another 12-1 shot.
And I heard his second entry is doing okay too.
Yeah.
So I think strategy-wise, it's you're trying to find a balance of, and you're trying to project, right? Because we know morning lines. It's a hard thing to do. So like that horse I had, he was 8-1. To me, he looked like an 8-1 shot on paper. But now the other thing about it, Emily, is now you pick the horse and you think he's going to win, and now you get off him because the price is too low and he wins.
Well, you just go to the window and you bet your money.
Well, that's correct.
There you go. That's the compromise.
You call that insanity insurance, right?
It's bankroll. It's money in your pocket. It's just like a regular day.
Although I find myself playing a lot less in real money here because there's so many damn races.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it's a lot to do both for sure.
I really didn't have much time before I came out here, so I had a 5.5-hour flight, which was good. And, went to bed early last night. I was up at 5 today, but
there you go.
So yeah, it's this is really, I think, about what you guys see here. Right?
It's the atmosphere.
It's the atmosphere,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And you know, you got to come up with some numbers, and haven't done that yet.
Well, you know what? You still have another day and a half to do it before you hit the cut line, Paul. So hopefully you can. But Paul, Kyle's got your mandatory man. He said, make sure everybody gets their mandatories in.
Yeah.
So
I had 3 optionals at Fairgrounds slated all for the turf, and they're off the turf.
Oh, so,
Yeah,
right, so
classic
you're having to
Fairgrounds.
pivot.
So now I'm
Classic
going to
Fairgrounds.
really have to get creative.
Yeah.
Well, we want to wish you the best of luck. Thank you
Yeah,
for
Paul,
coming out.
thanks
Thanks
so
for
much,
sharing the
yeah.
story too. I
And
mean,
Kyle.
I know of the story with Cody's Wish. I'm glad we heard about the Catholic boy story, but I can't wait to see the book. when it
Yeah,
comes
we're
out, too.
plugging away. We're plugging away. You know, it's difficult to, as I said, you got to have a job to pay
Yep.
the bills, and you know, this guy Howard's a slave driver. You know
I
that, Jim.
know. I mean, he gets on
Right?
me even when we're
So, but yeah, it'll get there.
good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All
Congratulations.
right, awesome. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yes,
Good
definitely.
luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And then
Need
I'm
it.
sure I'll be seeing you on the podcast
We're gonna
too,
do-
but
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll see you
And I'm
before
going to get
that.
out for one of those Hawthorne contests.
We would love to have you
Absolutely.
out.
Oh, well, no doubt.
Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
thank
Paul
you very much,
Halloran,
Jim.
Kyle
Emily,
Roscoe,
great
thank you
meeting
guys
you.
for
Yeah,
coming
you too.
out.
Thanks.
The HHH podcast, one of our great partners at Hawthorne Racecourse as well. These guys do a fantastic job.
Thanks,
There's so
Kyle.
many
That was
different podcasts throughout the course of the week. Make sure you check that out. Hawthorne will be represented on the podcast again as we do get into the racing season, which starts in just a week. So we get home on
my gosh.
on Monday. Entries are on Tuesday for opening day, Emily, for the meet. So see what happens there on the 23rd. But we've been talking about the Illinois connection. Now we bring in the Minnesota connection. But these are guys that we love. They've played our contest before. Mike Yurczyk, Dave Handeland. You guys are the kind of the Canterbury crew a little bit. But you guys have played Hawthorne. I've seen you at Hawthorne time and again and again. You're always coming to visit Peter. But you're out here for the tournament. How's it going thus far here on day one?
In a word, poorly.
How about you, Dave?
Mine's going slightly better, but I've learned some things. I've made an error. We
Okay.
make errors here. The last mandatory race, I didn't hit finish on my ticket, and I realized I was $10 short on the leaderboard. So, when you're playing in a contest, make sure you get your picks in. It was a mandatory. It was a 12-1 horse that ran second at Aqueduct. It paid $960. So it's only $960, but I know at the end of the
Absolutely.
weekend, I'm going to be looking for an extra $10.
Yeah,
So
or
it's
it
a
can make
big
a
error.
difference. And
Yep.
it's, hitting those bets. We just had Kyle here, whose whole job, he's not playing, is to make sure that everybody in their team gets the mandatories. And going through this, it's like, yeah, things aren't going to work your way. You're going to like a horse. It's not going to win. It's not going to be that, even though it's the right price. But those mistakes are the ones that just, like, they crush you because you're like, there's no reason for me to leave 960 on the board.
Nope. And I made it at the window, and I just must not have hit finished because during the race, and I keep all my paper receipts by me.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking for the paper
And you
receipt.
don't have
like,
it.
I don't have a paper receipt, and then the scores update.
Talking about it helps, though.
It's
Well,
like
at
this
least
is a therapy session.
At least
right?
it's not.
And
At least
you
it's
need
not a
that.
disqualification.
At least it's not a disqualification.
I mean, because that would be a kicker on day one.
Well,
Well,
they
a
do.
shoulder to cry on for you.
Yeah. If they do drug testing in here, there's a lot of disqualifications. is what I'm banking on.
Right.
So, experience for the NHC.
This is my second year. I made it last year for the first
Okay.
time, and then this year was the second year.
Mike, how about
I
you?
made it.
This is the 9th qualification.
Really?
We've got double a few years that pads that experience number, but 9th or 11th.
Okay, so you've had a lot of experience for it. Have you, over the course of 9 years of playing this contest, have you gone with the same strategy each year? Have you kind of tried to change things up? Does it change if you have 2 entries in?
Years ago, I had several cashes in a row, 4 in fact, with one being consolation.
Yep.
I had very little strategy then. So I really want to focus on this do better. I increased my strategy, more time, more energy, more subscriptions, and the results have declined. So
Okay. So does that mean you're going to pivot for day 2?
For day 2, it might be a lot less time spent and just fly by the seat
Wait,
of the pants.
I have a question. Do you think it's your play, or do you think that maybe you just stepped up in class? Do you think that the competition's gotten a little bit better? Because my partner John, who won when it was at Red Rock, he's like, it's a completely different tournament now than what it was. That wasn't that long ago, but maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of Canterbury hacks like myself
Well,
taking on other people.
It takes some good luck, and I haven't had it today and in recent years, but I'm one winner away from being in it again.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
and that's the thing about it. Like the format, we talked about it. Okay, it's only 16 races today, but it is when you go to 20 races tomorrow. So things can change a little bit where one big day could actually be enough to get you over to that cut line. So when you're looking at kind of how things unfold, do you still, as you finish out the optionals and the last mandatory on day one, just try to get whatever you can into that bankroll then?
Yeah, today was about trying to collect. I mean, I really kind of stuck to prices I liked in short fields, thinking could get in the top 2 in a 6-horse field, right? Not quite.
Okay.
And tomorrow will be a lot more handicapped from the back of the contest to the front, since you'll really know if you need the big grand slams at the end there. But.
Any tracks you guys are focusing on?
Anything dry.
Okay. And, well, but that's a good point.
That's I don't even have like fairgrounds today, figuring it was going to be that. Didn't even waste my time on it. Left it off. If the weather forecast was wrong, then I would go back and look at it.
Yeah.
But fairgrounds is off for the most part. Oakland's been off for me, other than the one mandatory race. So like, and it's one like Golden Gate is a track. I don't play Golden Gate a whole lot.
Sure.
So like that's one that I didn't even. I'm concentrating my effort on the tracks that I know.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I went.
What about you, Mike?
Gulfstream is a natural place with good prices and decent field sizes, so I started there, but there hasn't been prices anywhere today, really. So.
And that's kind of the way it's been. I mean, we talked about it. Marshall Graham's gone out there and really kind of jumped ahead of everybody. Mm-hmm. But other than that, nobody else has really separated themselves. So even one big day puts you right there in the mix. So it is. I mean, people have said throughout the show as we've interviewed them, okay, 7-2 or 4-1 might be okay to just take that money and kind of keep plugging along.
If you had a few of them.
Yeah.
I just looked right now, like 100th is $56.
Yeah.
It's like that's
like right.
If you have $7 right now, you have a cap. You're right there. You're right in the top.
Like
mix.
you want to be like it's when you look at it in the hindsight, to make like the top 10% is like $5, $5.50.
Right.
Is
A
what
play,
you need, and it's
average,
like
yeah.
per play on average.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is like I hit a 2-1 earlier, and it was a 1040 horse.
We were talking about
all right,
that. Yep.
Is it realistic and probably wise to do that? No, it's not. But that $10 helps every step of the way, every
Well,
dollar.
and we were talking about earlier. I mean, that difference you said from the cut line to 30 spots down could be $10. Mm-hmm. So in the end, and we hope it's not going to be your missed mandatory that provides that. If it is, you'll have his shoulder to cry on. But it'll be one of those things where it does make that difference. So we haven't heard like those huge roars or eruptions of, oh my gosh, I've hit that cap horse, because it just hasn't come yet either.
You weren't here. Were you here yesterday?
I was here yesterday.
So like right away in the last chance, first chance, 45-1 in the first mandatory race, and like 40 people out of 850 have it, and you're just like, well,
yeah.
But
everybody's got your work cut out. And then there was
more
horses or so.
Yeah, and then there was a disqualification that brought up another 43-1. Yeah, I mean,
25 to run second, which really hasn't been the case today.
Yeah. What was it? Was it 18-1? Was that the highest
That's
today?
the biggest winner I
Was
ever.
yeah. Yeah, it's
And
kind
that
of
was the horse at Aqueduct right after the
Yeah.
mandatory, so a lot of people probably weren't even focused on the race.
Yeah, I think Marshall must have had it because that's what.
He was right behind us on the table.
Yeah.
And I think he was at 99, and the person next to him was at 85, and he stands up cheering. I think he's got two. It's either his good entry or his bad entry. And if it's his good entry, everybody's in trouble.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's
then
what
he
it
went
was.
up another.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
$45.
he's a very smart man. So you look at the kind of the way this contest unfolds, and it's $2 win place wagers. We've talked about other contest formats. A lot of the Hawthorne contests are real money, live bankroll, multiple tracks, multiple type of wagers, and that. Some people talked about, like Eddie Olczyk, we were talking to him earlier, he said kind of the pick and pray works for him sometimes. Do you guys have a preference in kind of what you're playing to try to qualify to get here? And then getting here, what's your feeling on kind of how this format works for how you guys play races?
I play any and all contests that can try to get you here that are within driving or flying or availability. So I like them both. I think I probably have fared better in win place and make the wrong decisions less, I guess. Live bankroll I like to grow it and then take a big swing, but usually I turn it into dust and don't take a big swing.
Sure. What about you?
And I like the win place. I like the pick and pray just because if something happens, right, in a live money contest right away like that, then it turns into a stab fest for everybody. And it's like, at least in the pick and parades, like, depending how you organize your picks and go around with that, like Medea Canterbury runs a lot of pick and parades for us, and it's like, I like this format. So there are a few live monies. I really like the Hawthorne. Went there this year, Hoffman Estates, the day after Thanksgiving for your guys' contest.
Was that your first time playing at one of ours?
I qualified a few years ago, and I actually went to the Hawthorne track and played.
Okay.
That was probably 6-7 years ago.
Sure. And that's the beauty of just having the different formats to see what works for you and kind of go out there and play. But there are those contests at Canterbury. We've partnered with Canterbury in the past for a lot of contests too. And you talk about the players up there. I mean, I've seen you guys have a lot of very good players. Bruce Meyer is a very good player. You guys play a lot of tournaments.
Kara Urusso's awesome.
Carrazzo.
But you guys sit there and you hang out a lot and talk a lot and play tournaments together, don't you?
Sure. Yeah, there's like I hang up there kind of the third floor and run into a lot of people during the tournament plays, and it's with like I do the tip sheet at Canterbury Park, so it's like it seems like I see everybody who comes in and out and knows everything that's going on. Like I could, other than a tip sheet, I could run my own like gossip column at Canterbury Park.
I'd buy that.
That'd be kind of fun. I was gonna say, I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Like, ooh, you want to read this on the back?
Yeah.
That's where the real money is, and I'm stupid for not pursuing that even further.
So tip sheets here.
So the tip sheets here should do that.
Missed opportunity.
But no, we all like know each other, and like there are like different segments of us, or like these people hang out with each other, but like Ferrazzo's a beast, and Al Carrick is here, and he chugs away on everything, and seems like he's always in the top 5 all Canterbury contest.
Sure.
Mike, you and Joe nipped me in the dog days of summer this summer, and we have the top 4 finishers from that all at our table.
Okay.
Terry Severson.
All right, so you got a table at it's. I mean,
we got a we have
all
6
your buddies.
Canterbury people at our table.
Yep.
And then there's another table of Canterbury people. So yeah, we have a strong Minnesota contingent here.
Right, which is great. I mean, we have a strong Chicago contingent, a Minnesota contingent, but it's cool because you do see the players move. Like, I mean, I've seen you at our contest time and again and again. I've seen you just hanging in our paddock. But it is nice when it's close enough.
Who doesn't love Hawthorne Race Course?
Well, of course we love Hawthorne.
But you're trying to pick up mounts.
We got to get him to call a race.
That's a poor idea. But
No, that would be a fantastic idea. You're friends with Peter. You go out there and see him all the time whenever
he says
out.
nobody's listening anyways.
Peter's a great caller. Peter is awesome.
My favorite Peter racetrack announcer. Ahead of Peter Barry and Pete
He was
Aiello.
talking about this earlier.
Pete Aiello's good, but third best Peter.
That's amazing. So he's such a good man. He's called almost 80,000 races. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So, but he's still chugging away.
80,000?
Yeah.
That's a lot of races.
That's a lot of races. He's been calling races for long. This is a man who used to call harness doubleheaders.
Okay.
So he
yeah, you guys get some long days there, though. Like Canterbury, we have ours, but right, Hawthorne is the days where you do the live racing thoroughbred, and then you go to the harness at night.
We've had times when it's been very busy in the Chicagoland area. We've had times with camera crews going from one track, like they've done Hawthorne going to Maywood, things along those times too. Now we're just hoping we're going to be running a lot more thoroughbred races this summer. So hopefully that's the case.
Yes.
But guys, finishing up today, we want to wish you the best of luck. 20 races tomorrow, so anything can happen. But hopefully we're going to see you guys moving up the leaderboard there. Don't miss any mandatories tomorrow.
Don't miss any mandatories. Anybody, don't miss mandatories. No matter what contest you're in, get your picks in.
So thank you guys for coming out. Dave
Good
Handeland,
advice.
Mike Yurczyk, guys. Team Canterbury, Team Minnesota. We're going to go by. If people are out here in Vegas, they should go by because at least it's going to be a good time hanging out at your table too.
Yeah, stop by table 37 if you're watching.
I'm going to go back over there. I was over there earlier.
We're good people. Minnesota
Buy you a
nice.
free drink.
There you go.
You got free drinks.
Hey, by the way, what's the story with the shirt?
So it's Ice Cube and iced tea. So it's iced tea with Ice Cube heads as the Ice Cube heads.
So heady.
That is,
As
that's very meta.
My wife's
the
friend
drink.
actually bought this for my wife, but it was too big for my wife, so I've like stolen and taken custody of it.
And that's what you've chosen as your contest
And that's
shirt.
what I chose it for today.
That's
I had to
fantastic.
Are you going to
If my
one?
picks
Are you
are
going
gonna suck, I
to
might
one
as
up
well
it
look
tomorrow?
I
going to try. I've got some Minnesota.
Yeah, I can't
gear that
wait
we're
for
gonna
St.
break out.
Patrick's Day attire on you.
I got
boy.
St. Patrick's Day attire. I planned all my outfits. I'm like Tiger Woods. I planned all my outfits for this weekend.
This is absolutely amazing. But guys, good luck. Good luck the rest of the weekend, and just have a great time in Vegas.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
All right,
guys.
awesome.
Keep it
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you.
We're going to try. We're winding things down here as we're coming up to a couple races away from our final mandatory of the day. We have two more. Turfway Park, race number 2 is going to be our next mandatory, and then Santa Anita, race 8. So, Emily, a little bit of time before we hit the next couple mandatories, but as we saw on the leaderboard, Marshall Graham is the one that has moved up, and he's kind of separated himself a little bit. We know this is a mathematics guy. He knows his stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he, Marshall's one of the players and he knows how to win. He knows how to play this game, and that's what he's here for. And he's extremely dangerous. He's finished in the money, I know, at least once.
He's due to win.
Everybody's due to win.
But just knowing that, just seeing how he's played contests and kind of knowing the way, the amount of time he puts in and the analytics and the work he puts in.
Yeah.
That, I mean, he's definitely got that opportunity to go out there and make a splash. I mean, he's doing it so far in day one.
Absolutely.
And when we were talking to Paul earlier, I mean, he mentioned he didn't even know there was a prize for winning the day when he won day 2 of the contest. So that's out there too, and people are chasing that as well. So a lot of things going on. But we are sitting here coming up a little bit of time before our next mandatory race. So Emily, we get to take a little bit of a breather. And then after that, come back with one more segment to kind of wind down day 1, get everybody set for day 2. But I'll tell you, there's a lot going on. Not as much screaming as I would have expected thus far. I'm guessing tomorrow will even be a little bit busier too.
I think it just depends on the prices, because yesterday with all those bombs coming in, this room was loud.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends. We'll see.
We'll see
It could change on a dime.
It can change on a dime. So
Yes.
we'll see how things unfold. So everybody that's tuning in, check out our first segment that we had earlier on in the day on our YouTube channel, segment 2. We winding down, and then we'll have one more coming up in about an hour and a half, as we'll have a few more guests. But for now, we're going to give you a little bit of a break. Go grab a snack, get your bathroom break in, and we'll come back and join you in just over an hour. Good luck.